A rich woman held a casting for men. The room was silent, but the tension was thick. A long table stood at the center of a lavish penthouse, with golden chandeliers sparkling above. On one end of the table sat a woman powerful, intimidating, and breathtaking. Her name was Isabella Moretti. To the outside world, she was the glamorous billionaire who had inherited her family's vast empire of hotels and real estate. But behind her sharp eyes and flawless appearance, Isabella carried a secret that no one could see. On that evening, she had done something no one ever expected from a woman of her stature. She had announced a casting call, but not for actors, not for models, not for employees. She wanted men. When the news broke, the city was in shock. Some laughed, calling it a publicity stunt. Others whispered that Isabella was simply bored with her wealth and wanted entertainment. But none of them knew the truth. Isabella was not looking for vanity, nor was she seeking a fleeting distraction. She was searching for something far deeper, something she had lost faith in, finding love. One by one, men from all walks of life entered her penthouse. Handsome actors, smooth-talking businessmen, athletes with perfect physiques, they all sat across from her, trying to impress. But Isabella's face remained cold, her heart unmoved. Then came a man who looked completely out of place. His suit was worn, his shoes scuffed, and his hands were rough like those of a laborer. His name was Daniel Hart, a struggling single father who worked as a carpenter. Unlike the others, Daniel had not come to win Isabella's money or her status. He had come because he needed the job offer that came with the Castagna generous position in Isabella's company, promised to the man who could win her favor. When Daniel sat down, Isabella immediately noticed the difference in his demeanor. He did not flatter her, nor did he recite rehearsed lines like the others. He simply looked her in the eye, calm and steady. "Why are you here?" Isabella asked, her tone sharp. "To be honest," Daniel replied, "I need the opportunity. Not your money, not your attention. Just a chance to provide for my daughter." Isabella was startled. Men rarely spoke to her this way. They usually saw her as a prize. "Not a person, your daughter?" she asked, intrigued. Daniel nodded, his voice firm but laced with tenderness. "She's 8, smart as a whip. She deserves a better life than I can give her with the little I earn. So yes, I'll sit here, I'll answer your questions, and I'll accept your judgment. But understand this, I won't lie, and I won't beg. My pride is all I have left." For the first time that evening, Isabella felt her icy mask crack. She dismissed the other candidates and invited Daniel to stay longer. Over the next hour, their conversation unfolded in a way that surprised them both. Isabella, who had built walls around her heart, found herself laughing at Daniel's dry humor. Daniel, who had always been wary of the rich, saw glimpses of the lonely woman behind Isabella's fortune. But the journey was not simple. When word spread that Isabella was favoring a poor man, her world erupted in scandal. The press mocked her, calling it a Cinderella story gone wrong. Her board of directors warned her that aligning herself with someone of Daniel's status would tarnish the family name. Even Daniel himself, proud and stubborn, felt uncomfortable being seen as a charity case. There were moments when Isabella considered ending it all, returning to her solitary life of luxury and silence. Yet every time she thought of Daniel's quiet strengths and the way he spoke about his daughter with such love, she realized she couldn't walk away. The biggest test came when Daniel's daughter, Emily, was brought into Isabella's world. The little girl was shy, overwhelmed by the grandeur of Isabella's estate. But Isabella surprisingly knelt down, looked into Emily's eyes, and said softly, "You remind me of myself when I was your age, alone, afraid, trying to be strong." Emily hugged her without hesitation. That moment broke Isabella completely. For the first time in years, she felt what it was like to be needed not for her wealth, but for her heart. Still, challenges mounted. Daniel nearly walked away when he overheard Isabella's associates ridiculing him as the charity project of a bored billionaire. His pride screamed at him to leave. But that night, Isabella came to his small apartments, something she had never done for anyone. She stood at his door, without makeup, without bodyguards, without any mask of power. Just a woman trembling with vulnerability. "Daniel," she whispered, "I never held that casting to find someone rich, handsome, or perfect. I held it because I was tired of being surrounded by people who only wanted what I had, not who I was. You see me, and I don't want to lose that." Daniel stared at her for a long moment before pulling her into his arms. For once, wealth and status meant nothing. It was just two broken souls choosing to heal together. Months later, when Isabella publicly introduced Daniel and Emily at a gala, the cameras flashed and whispers filled the hall. But Isabella stood tall, holding Daniel's hand firmly. "This is the man who taught me what love really means," she said, her voice unwavering. "And this is the little girl who reminded me of the family I always longed for." The world could laugh, criticize, or gossip, but Isabella no longer cared. For the first time, she was free. Daniel didn't just win the casting. He won Isabella's heart, and together they built a love story that no amount of money could ever buy. And so, the rich woman who once held a casting for men discovered that the only role worth casting for was a partner in life, and the only audition that mattered was love itself.